Good morning, class 6. We will continue with second chapter of history, from hunting, gathering to growing food. We have started the chapter in the previous class where we have discussed why people moved from one place to another. We have talked about 4 reasons. First of all, that when they have used or exhausted resources available at one place, that was the first reason why they moved from one place to another. Then second was that sometimes the animals whom they hunted, they moved in search of small prey, like for example deer or cattle, because maybe they have eaten the grass and they have moved. So following them, these predators moved, and following these predators, the human beings also moved from one place to another. So that was the second reason why people moved from one place to another. Now that let's see the third reason. That although we have discussed it, third reason was that sometimes it was this they needed certain fruits or vegetables or what which was available in particular season. So in particular area. So for that was also one of the reason. And if the water resource have dried up, if it was not a perennial, then animals will also not come to that place, and in that place, because without water the living beings cannot survive. So for that was also one reason why people traveled from one place to another. Then we have talked about archaeologists who study the ancient things from the past, and they give us the idea. So they have received, they have got the tools. Some tools they were made from wood, some of them are made from the bones of the animals, and some of them were from the stone. And it is believed that the stone tools survived the most. Okay, so we have talked about different areas where these people started living first. So you can see this map which is there for your reference. We have discussed till here and talked about the rock painting which people made, and we have for example Bhimbetka, which is in Madhya Pradesh. This is an old site with caves and rock shelter where people might have taken shelter, and in the meanwhile they have drawn some paintings on the walls which are still present. Now we have to continue from here. Sites are places where the remains of things, that is tools, pots, buildings, etc. were found. These were made, used and left behind by people. These may be found on the surface of the earth, buried under the earth, or sometimes even under water. You will learn more about different sites in later chapters. Finding out about fire. Find the Kurnool caves on map 2. Traces of ash have been found here. This suggests that people were familiar with the use of fire. Fire could have been used for many things, like as a source of light. Then they might have learned how to roast the meat, and for that they might have used the fire. And thirdly, for scaring away the animals. So you can see that 3 uses of fire could have been there, right? Names and dates. Archaeologists have given lengthy names for the time we are studying. They call the earliest period in Paleolithic. This comes from 2 Greek words, that is paleo, which means old, and lithos, which means stone. So we call that Paleolithic or Stone Age also. The name points to the importance of finds of stone tools. The Paleolithic period, it extends from 2 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago. This long stretch of time is divided into the lower, middle and upper Paleolithic. This long span of time covers 99% of human history. The period when we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called the Mesolithic, that is Middle Stone. Stone tools found during this period are generally tiny and are called microliths. So the small tools of stone, they were known as microliths. Micro means small, right? Microliths were probably stuck onto the handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saws and sickles. At the same time, older varieties of tools continued to be in use. So they introduced some new tools and they continue to use the older tools as well. So these microliths, that they what they did was they like you attached those tools to the stand sort of thing, maybe like wooden or maybe to a bone, and that could have been used as sickle or a saw, which we are using nowadays as well. So the next stage from about 10,000 years ago is known as Neolithic. Neo, the word you can make out that it is something which is related to new. What do you think the term Neolithic means? We have also mentioned the names of some places. You will find the names of many more places in later chapters. Very often, we use present day names of the places where people lived in the past because we do not know why they called them. A changing environment. Around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world, with a shift to relatively warm conditions. In many areas, this led to the development of grasslands. This in turn led to an increase in the number of deer, antelope, goat, sheep, and cattle. That is, animals that survived on the grass. So when the grasslands increased, so animals which were used to survive on them, their number also increased. Those who hunted these animals now followed them. Learning about their food habits and their breeding season, it is likely that this helped people to start thinking about herding and rearing these animals themselves. Fishing also became important. The beginning of farming and herding. This was also a time when several grain bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Men, women, and children probably collected these grains as food and learned where they grew and when they ripened. This may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. In this way, people became farmers. People could also attract and then tame animals by leaving food for them near their shelters. The first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of the dog. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. These animals, such as sheep, goat, cattle, and also the pig, lived in herds and most of them ate grass. Often, people protected these animals from attacks by other wild animals. This is how they became herders. So, initially, they started growing grains like wheat, rice, and barley. When they started growing, so obviously that means they started living a settled life. So they learned how to because obviously when the grains will ripen, they have to harvest them. So they started living a settled life. And initially, they maybe they left certain things to eat for these animals to eat, and they realized that there were certain animals which were which could be tamed. So they started, and then these things might have given them the idea of herding and rearing. Domestication is a name given to the process in which people grow plants and look after animals. Very often, plants and animals that are tended by people become different from wild plants and animals. This is because people select plants and animals for domestication. For example, they select those plants and animals that are not prone to diseases. They also select plants that yield large size grain and have strong stalks. capable of bearing the weight of the ripe grain. So you can see that what they must have done, like when with passage of time they must have got some experience, and then they realized these things. So with that they made their selection of plants and animals, like they selected those plants and animals that were not prone to disease, that will not catch disease very quickly. Then they selected the plants that will yield large size of grain and that can bear the weight of the grain. Seeds from selected plants were preserved and sown to ensure that new plants will have same qualities. Amongst animals, those that are relatively gentle are selected for breeding. As a result, gradually domesticated animals and plants become different from wild animals and plants. For example, the teeth and horns of wild animals are usually much larger than those of domesticated animals. Look at these two sets of teeth. Which do you think belong to a wild pig and which to a domestic one? So obviously we can make out that the smaller one will belong to a domesticated one. Domestication was a gradual process that took place in many parts of the world. It began about 12,000 years ago. Virtually all the plants and animals produced that we use as food today is a result of domestication. Some of the earliest plants to be domesticated were wheat and barley. The earliest domesticated animals include sheep and goat. A new way of life. If you want to plant a seed, you will notice that it takes some time to grow. This may be several days, weeks, months, and in some cases, years. When people began growing plants, it meant that they had to stay in the same place for a long time, looking after the plant, watering it, weeding, that is, taking out the other plants which are there, which they felt that it is of no use, driving away animals and birds till the grain ripened, and then the grain had to be used carefully after harvesting it. As grain had to be stored for both food and seed, people had to think of ways of storing. In many years, they began making large clay pots or worm baskets or dug pits into the ground. Do you think hunter-gatherers would have made and used pots? Give reason for your answer. So, what do you think? The hunter-gatherers would have done this? No, they wouldn't have. Because, therefore, they were the hunter-gatherers. They moved from one place to another. Storing animals. Animals multiply naturally. Besides, if they are looked after carefully, they provide milk, which is an important source of food, and meat whenever required. In other words, animals that are reared can be used as a store of food. That means if the food is not available, they can easily eat that animal. Apart from food, what are the other things that would have been obtained from the animals? What are animals used for today? Finding out about the first farmers and herders, turn to map 2. You will notice a number of blue squares. Each mark a site from where archaeologists have found evidence of early farmers and herders. These are found all over the subcontinent. Some of the most important ones are in the northwest, in present-day Kashmir, and in East and South India. To find out whether these sites were settlements of farmers and herders, scientists study evidence of plants and animal bones. One of the most exciting finds include remains of burnt grain. These may have been burnt accidentally or on purpose. Scientists can identify these grains, and so we know that a number of crops were grown in different parts of the subcontinent. They also identify the bones of different animals. So you can see this on the map too, and you will notice that there are places which are marked with blue squares, and that shows that these were the sites where they have found the evidence of the farmers and herders. They might have and the places include present-day Kashmir in the east and South India. So there they have got the evidence of plants and animal bones. They have got the signs of burnt grains. So these you can make out the difference. Towards a settled life, archaeologists have found traces of huts or houses at some sites. For instance, in Burzahom, in present-day Kashmir, people built pit houses which were dug into the ground with steps leading into them. These may have provided shelter in cold weather. Archaeologists have found cooking hearths both inside and outside the huts, which suggests that depending on the weather, people could cook food either indoors or outdoors. So this is like in Burzahom, that is in Kashmir. Now children, you have to remember this it's very important that here they started making pit houses, that was underground, and where they had there were steps which would lead and the people to those houses, and the reason was that they could be saved, there could be shelter from the cold weather which is outside. Obviously Kashmir is a cold place. Now last year I have asked this question in the exam, and children, they might have googled the answer and written about different places across the world where pit houses existed. But since I have asked in the context of this chapter, they were supposed to write Burzahom, where pit houses were first built. So you have to, therefore I keep on repeating that please read the chapter very carefully and underline the important things. Stone tools have been found from many sites as well. Many of these are different from the earlier Paleolithic tools, and that is why they are called Neolithic. That because there are differences, so that means that when a person is making something and then improvised version you will see, then obviously you can make out that which one is the first one and which one is the second one. These include tools that were polished to give a fine cutting edge, and mortars and pestles. This is still used in our houses, used for grinding grain and other plant produce. Mortars and pestles are used for grinding grain even today. That's what I was telling you, which was used several thousand years later. That is obviously in present context also we use it. At the same time, tools of Paleolithic types continue to be made and used, and remember, some tools are made of bone. That I have already told you. Many kinds of earthen pots have also been found. These were sometimes decorated and were used for storing things. People began using pots for cooking food, especially grains like rice, wheat, and lentils, that now became an important part of the diet. Besides, they began weaving cloth using different kinds of material, for example, cotton, that could now be grown. Did things change everywhere all at once? Not quite. In many areas, men and women still continued to hunt and gather food, and elsewhere people adopted farming and herding slowly over several thousand years. Besides, in some cases, people tried to combine these activities, doing different things during different seasons. So with this we will stop here and we'll continue the chapter in the last class, which I will be sending you in the next video. Please do read the chapter. Take care of yourselves. Be safe at home. Thank you.